Now, today we will be starting another important area what we are calling as the physical method of sterilization. Now, we have discussed earlier about what microbiology basically is, what are the various applications of microbiology in various segments. It may be in the field of agriculture, it may be in the field of a pharmaceutical industry, it may be in the field of hospitals, or it may be in the field of food, as well as it may be in the field of environment. Now, in whatever area we are talking of, in any one of these areas, if there are microorganisms which are pathogenic, they will create harm to our system. Therefore, just to prevent the damage which microorganism can create, we need to be a little bit aware of the various approaches of sterilization or the various ways we can remove the microorganism from the system. Now, before I start about physical sterilization, I would like my students to have a very clear cut idea about certain terminologies, because these terminologies you know that they are very confusing, very synonymous. What are they? First is sterilization. What do we mean by the term sterilization? The sterilization basically means complete destruction or elimination of all forms of microorganisms. Complete destruction or elimination, removal of microorganism. Then what is disinfection? Disinfection means it is a process by which we are destroying the vegetative pathogens or microbes from inert substances, that is non-living substance. Inert means non-living substance. This is very closely linked with what we are calling antiseptics. What is antiseptics? Antiseptic means destruction of vegetative pathogens on living tissue. Therefore, the fundamental difference between a disinfectant and an antiseptic is disinfectant is mainly applied on non-living objects, whereas antiseptics they are mainly applied on living object. This is the fundamental and foremost difference. Please remember. So, repeating once again, disinfectant non-living, antiseptic living. Say for example, let us discuss with certain examples. You are taking a injection or you are giving a blood for some test. You have seen what the technician does. He is soaking cotton in alcohol and then rubbing it on the area from where the blood has to be taken out. Therefore, he is applying antiseptics to kill the microorganism from the surface of the skin. On the other hand, in the morning, after getting up, you are opening the door and your maid servant is coming. She is cleaning the floor with Savlon. She is cleaning the floor by mixing with a drop of phenyl. They are actually nothing but disinfectants which is applied on the floor or any non-living object. Now, you may have a query in your mind, sir, why are we not apply disinfectant in our body, on the surface of the body? Due to its toxic nature, generally we do not apply disinfectant on the surface of your skin or on the living tissues. So, we apply antiseptics on the surface of a skin, we apply disinfectant on non-living object. This is a fundamental difference, please remember. Next is de-germing. De means removing, germ means organism. Therefore, mechanical removal of microorganism over a limited area is what you are calling as de-germing. Repeating once again, de means removal, germ organism. Therefore, mechanical removal of microorganism over a limited area is what is called de-germing. Another term, sanitization, mainly applicable for sanitary objects. Lowering of microbial count to a particular safe level, that is what we are calling as sanitization. Now, sterilization, just for a quick recapitulation, is the process by which we are either killing or removing the microorganism from a particular substance. Now, this can be achieved by application of any one of the three methods written here. One, it can be by the application of heat, it can be by the application of radiation, it can be by the application of filtration. And out of these three, the application of heat and application of radiation is a process by which the microorganisms will be killed, and in case of filtration, the microorganism will be removed from the system. And whenever we are talking in terms of heat, there are two methods, one is called moist heat and the other one is called dry heat. What is moist heat and dry heat? When we are using water to generate steam, we are calling it as a moist heat, and whenever no water is present, we are calling it as dry heat, very simple. Now, this moist heat again can be categorized into four broad types. One is autoclaving, other one is boiling, next one is tyndalization, and the last one is pasteurization. These four are the various techniques which we used with the help of moist heat in order to sterilize a particular substance. Now, as far as dry heat is concerned, we use red hot, we use flaming techniques, we used incineration, or we use a hot air oven. These are the four techniques which we use for dry heat. So, this is by application of heat. Problem is, there are various types of products which are susceptible to heat, that is which you are calling as thermolabile. Thermo means temperature, heat, labile means breakdown. Labile means breakdown. Therefore, those substances which are thermolabile, you are not in a position to use mainly by this particular technique. So, you have to search for some other alternative ways. Say for example, cotton. If you want to sterilize cotton by heat, it will undergo degradation or water will be absorbed. Next is radiation as a physical method of sterilization. Again, there are two categories, one is non-ionizing, other one is ionizing. Non-ionizing can be divided into two categories, one is infrared and other one is ultraviolet red. One is infrared and ultraviolet ray, ionizing X-ray and gamma ray. Next, we are coming on to filtration technique. Filtration technique means we are using a sort of a special type of a filter, which you are calling as a membrane filter, and whenever you are passing on a solution through it, the microorganism are retained. The filter size is so small that when the solution which is full of microorganism will try to go across, the bacteria will be retained, the liquid will be drained through. That is the process of removal of the microorganism. Next is the use of certain chemicals. We use various types of chemicals in order to destroy the microorganisms. It may either be in the liquefied form or it may be in the gaseous form. Whenever we are talking of liquid chemicals, we take the examples of alcohols, halogens, phenols and aldehydes, and whenever we are talking of gas, we talk of fumes of formaldehyde, formalin, commonly used for sterilization of the operation theatres, widely applied in hospitals. We talk of ethylene oxide gas. So, first we are beginning with the moist heat sterilization, which we are calling as autoclave. Now, in moist heat, let me explain how it actually happens. Now, whenever steam is produced, it is generally produced at a high temperature. For autoclave, the condition for operating an autoclave is 121 degrees Celsius for a time period of minimum 15 to 30 minutes at a pressure of 15 pounds per square inch gauge. Now, this is the working condition of an autoclave. Now, when the steam is generated at such a high temperature, at such a high pressure, it enters into the microbial cell, and moment it enters into the microbial cell, it creates coagulation of protein. That is, the proteins gets coagulated, and once the protein gets coagulated, the microorganisms are killed, they are destroyed. Therefore, coagulation of protein is a mechanism, is a process by which microorganisms are killed using an autoclave. Now, let us see how they are applied, where they are applied, because application, please remember, in your life application is of primary importance. आप जो भी सीख रहे हो उसको कहाँ फ्यूचर में अप्लाई करोगे? As far as autoclave is concerned, it is used for sterilization of culture media, it is used for sterilization of instruments, it is used for sterilization of dressings, applicators, syringes, some pharmaceutical products, aqueous solution and numerous other items, but only with one criteria should be there. What is that criteria? The criteria is the substance must be in a position to withstand the high temperature as well as the high pressure. Now, there are many situations where if you heat, the organisms will be killed, but at the same time, as because the substance which you want to make free from microbes, they are not in a position to withstand the high temperature and pressure, your main objective is lost. You are killing the microorganism, no problem, but the product itself is undergoing degradation. Therefore, whenever you are using this particular method, autoclaving, you need to be very cautious that the product which you are trying to sterile must be in a position to withstand high temperature as well as high pressure. Now, here you see I have used the time period to be 15 to 30 minutes. Why? It is because if the amount of substance which you want to sterilize, I will be showing how autoclave looks like. If you want to sterilize a smaller amount of substance, 15 minutes is okay, no problem. But if the load, if the amount of substance which you want to sterilize is high, that is the quantum of material is high, the bioburden is high. What is bioburden? The amount of microorganism. The bioburden is high. Moment that is high, you need to extend the time. Instead of 15 minutes, you may extend to 20, 25 or maximum 30 minutes. Now, let us see how autoclave basically looks like. This is a figure which shows how autoclave basically looks like. See, here there are certain valves. Now, let me explain it here. Now, here there is a heating mantle and on the top there is a stand. Now, this up till this stand you need to add water. Moment you are adding water, this water should be completely immersing the heating electrode, and on the top of the stand you keep the substance which you want to sterilize. जो substance you want to sterilize, that you keep it in that. See, here I have taken a round bottom flask, you may keep any item which you like. Now, here there are certain nuts, the nuts which are looking here, and there is one pressure gauge. The pressure gauge estimates measure the pressure, and here there is a release valve. Now, initially you keep these nuts a bit loose, start heating. The moment you heat, the air in contact with the heating mantle will be heated. Moment it gets heated, it moves up, lighter air from the top comes down, which in turn get heated, it again moves up. A sort of a current develops. This current is what we are calling as a convection current. That is, within this autoclave, the air which is entrapped before you are tightening these nuts, that air must be heated by steam, and when it is heated, it tries to come out with the ejaculation valve, and when it comes, you stop the valve. You will see that the pressure is initially 0, gradually the pressure is being mounting within the autoclave vessel, which is mainly made up of stainless steel. When the pressure is increasing, it is easily seen by the deflection of this knob which is there in the pressure gauge. The pressure gauge gradually increases from 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, and in 15 the safety release valve will automatically release the extra pressure. You have to note down the time after this 15 pounds per square inch is achieved here. You note down the time. You keep it for a period of 15 minutes minimum, and you may increase depending on the bioburden which you have. After your process is over, switch off the power supply, automatically no more heat will be produced, and gradually the knob will be deflecting from 15 pounds per square inch, gradually it will come down to 10, then to 5 and 5 to 0. Then you open these nuts which are there, take out the material which you have given earlier for the purpose of sterilization. This is the way by which autoclave acts. Now, autoclave again are of two types, one horizontal, I will be showing in the next slide. One is horizontal, other one is vertical. Let me show it. If you see, this is horizontal, this one, the one which is at the bottom. This one is vertical, nothing special, mechanism exactly the same, operation exactly the same. That is, you will having a tray, on the top of the tray you need to place the item to be sterilized. Here just below the tray there is a heating coil which will heat, automatically air will be heated. The one which I have shown here, if you carefully observe this particular figure, you will see that the one which is by the red mark demarcates steam. Now, when the steam is being produced, you see that this blue color line which is the normal air is being displaced, is being removed, and automatically at a point will come when the air will be completely replaced by super saturated steam, and when it will be replaced, automatically the pressure gauge will show and pressure will begins to rise. The autoclave is the first method, very commonly used. Next is boiling, which you use in your daily routine life. घर में बेटा तुम लोग डेली इसको यूज करते हो. What we do? Say you want to drink water. पहले हम लोग का पास आरओ नहीं था. We used to boil water. We have seen container में we used to boil water, then we used to cool it down and then we used to drink it out. Therefore, boiling water for at least 5 minutes makes it safe, but does not kill the 100% microorganism. That is the reason why nowadays RO are very commonly used. You will see that whenever a doctor is carrying out an operation theatre, in the corner of a room there is a sort of a boiling chamber, where water is continuously boiling, and then they are, after carrying out the operation, they are throwing their scalpel and the scissors and so on. So, boiling is another, the next method by which we are using taking the help of moist heat. Question is, what is the mechanism? Because you will have to understand two things: one, mechanism, and where it is applied. Application I have covered, the way it acts I have covered, but mode of action. The mode of action is again the same. That is, the steam is produced, the steam enters the microbial cell. Moment the steam enters the microbial cell, it creates the coagulation of protein. That is, coagulation of protein is the main way by which the microorganisms are very easily killed by the process of boiling also. Now, let us see what we are having in the next slide. Next is pasteurization, tremendously applied technique, particularly in food industries, particularly in dairy industries. Now, here pasteurization have three conditions. One, low temperature holding time, LTH, used when the taste of the product will be damaged by longer heating and lowers the number of pathogens. What is the condition? The condition is exposure at 63 degrees Celsius for a period of 30 minutes. See, here we have mentioned it lowers the number of microorganisms. Pasteurization is not a process by which 100% sterilization is achieved. I am repeating once again. Pasteurization is not a process by which 100% sterilization is achieved. Therefore, whenever you are adopting this technique of pasteurization, along with it you have to adopt another process to supplement it. Say for example, let me give you certain examples which will be clarifying your doubt. Whenever we are using milk, the tone milk which is coming in the market daily, they are all pasteurized. But what you do? You are purchasing that tone milk from the shop, you are going to your home, and then you are boiling that milk. Why do we boil? We boil because the pasteurization technique which has been adopted earlier, that has not been successful enough to kill 100% microbes. So, as a precautionary measures, we boil milk. Another is example, let me give. Say fruit juice, pasteurized, the same technique, any one of the three methods which you use. But after the process of pasteurization, you have to add a preservative. unless you are adding a preservative, the product which you have sterilized by the process of pasteurization, the microorganism will grow, because it is lowering the number of pathogens. Just the number of pathogens lower down, remember, but as because there is carbohydrate which is required for the microorganism to grow, they will try to grow. Therefore, to prevent their growth, you have to add a preservative. What are the other conditions? The other conditions are high temperature short time method, which is known as HTST. H high, T temperature, S short, T time. Condition 72 degrees Celsius for 15 seconds, 15. The third method is ultra high temperature, UHT. What is the condition? 140 degrees Celsius for a period of only 3 seconds. This is also known as flash sterilization. This is also known as flash sterilization, because it is a fraction of a second. Within a period of 3 seconds, you are in a position to control the microbes. See, this is the industrial setups where flash pasteurization is commonly applied, used for carbonated beverages, 72 degrees Celsius for a period of only 15 seconds. And the figure on this side shows batch pasteurization of milk, the milk which you take from the shops daily. Batch pasteurization of milk, 63 degrees Celsius for a period of 30 minutes. Next is tyndallization. So, we have studied till now 3 methods: 1 autoclave, 2 boiling, 3 pasteurization. We are coming to the last method, which is tyndallization. What is tyndallization? Tyndallization means those substances which are having carbohydrate like material, they are to be tyndallized. Now, tyndallization means you have to heat it for 100 degrees Celsius for 3 successive days for a period of only 30 minutes. And the instrument which you use is called steam Arnold apparatus or modified apparatus or autoclave. Let me explain why we heat it for 3 successive days at 100 degree. Now, on day 1, whenever you are heating, 100% vegetative cells which are there as contaminant, they will be dead. But it may so happen that the spores may remain, and by application of heat, whenever you are heating it on the next day, that is, you are giving a gap of 24 hours, these spores are converted into vegetative cell on day 2. These spores are converted to vegetative cell on day 2. So, whenever you are heating on day 2, what happens is the microorganisms are killed. Why we are taking day 3? We are taking day 3 just as a precautionary method. Even if one spore is remaining, it will be converted to vegetative cell on the next day. Now, the factors influencing the sterilization process: the number of microorganisms, spores, the nature of material to be sterilized, the time, the temperature which you have to apply, and finally, let us quickly summarize what we have studied today. Sterilization, boiling and autoclaving, it kills all microorganisms by application of heat, commonly used in canning, bottling and other sterile packaging procedures. Pasteurization, as I have told you, it is not complete sterilization. It reduces the microorganism load in a product or food, mainly applied for fruit juice, beer, carbonated beverages. It simply increases the shelf life of the product. Now, in case of milk, in the case of milk, whenever you are pasteurizing, it kills all the potential pathogens that are transmitted in milk. What are the pathogens which is commonly transmitted? Staphylococcus, Streptococcus, Brucella abortus and Mycobacterium tuberculosis. Please remember, this Mycobacterium tuberculosis is a disease which creates tuberculosis in our body. So, always be very alert whenever we are taking milk, particularly from the cow source, from the bovine source. So, what happens is they are the carrier of Mycobacterium tuberculosis. And with this, we are coming to the end of today's class, where we have studied the application of heat, particularly the moist heat, as a technique for the purpose of sterilization. Okay, thank you very much.